Left yourself in my care. I'm supposed to be in charge of you. So I will decide how much you will make. And you can bet that I'm going to make 1,000 times more than you do because I'm in charge. After all, you voted for me. So I'm just saying there's time for us to wake up. These are very evil days, and unless America is ready to wake up and face the facts that we have been lied to, deceived and tricked into surrendering our lives, our minds, our sovereignty of thinking. And as I said in the beginning, what we need more than anything now is a spiritual and intellectual renaissance, a revolution spiritually around the world where people wake up to the responsibility to stand before your Creator and be a normal adult human being who knows what's going on, who understands the world, and can contribute something to the good for the whole human race. But it's going to require that you educate yourself and understand how the world works. Again, my name is Jordan Maxwell, and thank you for listening. Extraordinary story, as I said, about the deception that goes on throughout the world about the real world and how it actually works. So all I'm suggesting is that you might want to take some time out of your life and start looking at the reality of the world you live in, because the world is growing more and more dangerous, more and more ignorant, and today believe and have been told, and that's why they believe it, that God made us, God made man. And they will point to the scripture that says God created Adam and Eve. And then they will say, see, there it is, God made man. But that's not what the Bible says. It doesn't say that God made man. In the beginning, the first chapter of Genesis says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. But that's not exactly what it says in the Hebrew. This is why we are emphasizing that it says God created the heavens and the earth. But in Hebrew, the word God is El, E-L. So if we were to read this first chapter, the first verse, in Hebrew, it would say, in the beginning, El created the heavens and the earth. But that's not what it says in Hebrew. It says, in the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth, not El. In the beginning of the heavens and the earth, which are now. I came across this many, many years ago, talking with a very impressive, well-known rabbi. He was the one that put me onto this when I was very young, that God did not create, he said, God did not create man. There's nowhere in the Old Testament, or what you call the Old Testament, where it says God created man. No, it just doesn't say that. And so I began to look at this, and he gave me all the ideas a long time ago. So the first thing we need to look at is, as I said, the word is incorrect. God is El in Hebrew, but it's Elohim. And Elohim means the gods in the plural, more than one God. So the correct understanding of Genesis 1:1 is that in the beginning, the gods created the heavens and the earth. We need to define our terms first about God, and what does the word God mean in the Old Testament Hebrew? Here it is for you. This is God in the Hebrew is Elohim. Gods, more than one. So in Genesis 1:1 it says, in the beginning Elohim created the heavens and the earth. So it's more than one God. But here's the important part. We'll see it again. This is from another Bible translation where the word God shows up, and then it says in Hebrew it's Elohim, which is plural, more than one. So God Elohim is plural. People today believe and have been told, and that's why they believe it, that God made us, God made man. And they will point to the scripture that says God created Adam and Eve. And then they will say, see, there it is, God made man. But that's not what the Bible says. It doesn't say that God made man. In the beginning.
Why do you have to go to court? You go to court because you play basketball on a court. You play tennis on a court. How do you play tennis on a court? You play with a racket. Why? Because the people that develop it know it's a racket. That's where we get the term. Consequently, you need to understand that the words which are used by the systems under which we live are not by chance. In a court, the whole idea in a court is to put the ball back in the other guy's court. So this team of attorneys, they stand up and throw the ball back at the other team. Now the ball's in their court. They have to get up and throw the ball back into that court. The judge wears a black robe. Why does a judge wear a black robe? Well, the same reason Catholic priests wear black robes. Rabbis wear black robes. You wear a black robe. For many years, young people graduating from university and college wear a black robe. What's this stuff with a black robe? Let me give you an example today. Why do you have to go to court? For many years, how all this stuff works, and it's a very quick example. There are two basic kinds of law under the law of magic. There are two kinds of laws that govern the earth. One is called the law of the land, L-A-N-D. And we've heard that term, law of the land. Why do you use that term, the law of the land? Because that's where people live, is on land. But there's an opposing law which is far more important, far, far more powerful. It is called the law of water. It was developed under the old Druidic system in Europe, which can trace its history back through the Roman Empire, through the Vatican, and ultimately back to the Phoenician Canaanites in the Middle East, of what we today call Phoenicia. Cana was called back what we call today Israel and Lebanon. Syria, that was called Phoenicia, Cana. And the Phoenician Canaanites, the very word Cana, which we've all heard in relation to the Bible, Cana is a Phoenician word meaning bankers, merchant bankers. Well, the Phoenician Canaanites set up a system of merchant banking and had their Phoenician Canaanite symbols and words connected to their societies, their banking societies. We're talking about in the Middle East. And then through the Greece and ultimately through is right in front of you. But if you don't understand what the words are and what the words mean, you're never going to figure out how this stuff works.
Would you also talk about how movies are revealing the Illuminati agenda?
Oh, God, yes. What a story that is. Absolutely. Even more so than you know. Even more so than you suspect. I have been looking at one subject for, since 1967. In Glendale, California. Let me preface this. In Glendale, California, in 1967, I was researching communism for a lecture I was going to give, and I went to a World Book Encyclopedia, and there was a picture of the national coat of arms of the Soviet Union and the Soviet flag, and that was in '67. Well, I started speaking to small little groups in '60. So for 7 years I'd already been talking to little mom and pop groups and little library rooms and all that, and little bookstores and all that kind of thing. But it was in '67 that I came across a symbol which was the national coat of arms of the Soviet Union. And I was familiar by that time with a particular term that the communists have used, the Nazis have used, the British have used, the Americans have used. And the more I began to, and so when I saw this symbol and the term and the explanation for the symbol in the World Book Encyclopedia, it finally hit me that something is going on a massive, enormous scale around the world. And for the first time I saw it in the Soviet National Coat of Arms, because it was using the same words and terms that the Hitler had used, the Nazis had used, that the fascists had used in Italy. And now, as I begin to look, the people of India used it, the governments around the world are using the same symbol. And so I knew that I had stumbled upon something of profound significance. I didn't know what it was, but I already knew, I had a gut feeling that something is really big going on the earth. And the Soviet national coat of arms was what triggered my catching it.
When you talked about the symbols there, that reminded me how much of your work is about the interpretation of symbols. And somebody mentioned to me that you were actually the model for the symbologist that was played by Tom Hanks in the movie Da Vinci Code, the Da Vinci Code. Can you say anything about that?
Would you also
Watch the water. Watch the water.
And what I'm going to do is fill up one of the glasses with tap water and one with my distilled water that I have, and electrolyze them both and see what happens. Okay? So this one is tap water.
Right from the tap. This is Thames water, people. This is coming in all your homes. What you wash with, what you bath with, what you cook with.
Okay. And this I'm going to put my distilled water.
So this is being through a water purifier.
A distiller.
A distiller, okay. Okay, she's filling that one up. Okay.
Let me just pour some Right, so I'll turn this on.
So you think, look, they look the same.
They look the same.
Look clear, look nice.
Beautiful, got you. Okay. So I'll put one in there, one in here. Yeah, like that. And I just turn it on and let it electrolyze.
Right, and that's already started bubbling, that one.
This one's like, yeah, that's the tap water.
That's your tap, people. But what does an electrolyzer do?
It separates all of the metals and anything's in it that it will, with an electric current, separate all anything impure in it.
Impure. So this is all the matter that you don't
And then
want.
here it says the colours. So
Yeah. On this side as well.
is it on this side? What colours?
So it says yellow acids, fluoride and other organic matter. Green, what does it say? Arsenic. Blue, bacteria. Look, you can see the blue forming, people. So just bearing in mind that's next to the purified water. There's nothing happening, no reaction. And it's the same, it's all doing the same thing. But on the tap, there's a lot of strange things going on. In that
Does it
water.
say black as well? What black is?
Bubbling on top.
Yeah, that's the metals
Red,
reacting.
iron and rust and bacteria. It's just,
Go on the top. Go over so you can see what's happening at the top. Go over the
that.
clear one.
yeah.
Okay, let me turn it off and give it a stir.
Okay.
She's gonna get getting hot. This one.
Oh my god. Now I would presume it's getting hot because of the metals.
Yeah, heating up with the electric current.
Guys, those are like literal chunks.
Yeah.
But that is all bacteria.
And bacteria, it could even be graphene in there. If I got a magnet to it, if it follows the magnet, that could well be graphene oxide as well.
Oh my goodness. Guys, this is what we're drinking. Or this is what you... I know some people don't drink tap water, but you're washing your...
How old was the victim?
She was 10.
Tell us what happened.
Well, in 1973, there were 2 occasions when I exposed myself to this young woman. And several months later, she came to visit, and she and I were watching TV alone together, and I took her hand and moved it in such a way that she was touching me inappropriately. I knew that something unthinkably wrong had just happened that I couldn't take back, and I I think we both just sat there. We really didn't move a muscle. And after about, what I recall is about 45 seconds, I took her hand and moved it back. I waited a couple of minutes because I just didn't know what to do or say. And then I got up and left the room.
But a decade later, in the same year he met his wife on the set of Tales of the Gold Monkey, he says it happened again.
There were 2 times in 1982, 20 years ago, in 1994, when I exposed myself to 2 different teenage girls. There was no physical contact of any kind with either of them.
Do you remember the look on these girls' faces?
The look on the one in 1982 was such that it immediately just stopped everything cold. It was clear that she was disoriented and frightened, and that just made me want to stop and cover up, and I did.
How old were these girls in 1982 and 1994?
They were 13 and 14.
Did you find this sexually gratifying?
Not at all. I mean, not at all. It was not exciting. It was not gratifying. There was no gratification.
Then why did you do it?
It was a combination of poor impulse control, arrogance, 25-year-old arrogance.
When was the first moment you realized that you had these impulses, an attraction to prepubescent or underage girls?
No, that's the thing, and I absolutely do not have that attraction. I am not attracted to underage girls. Keep in mind that the only time there was any physical contact with an underage girl was in 1973. And the incident in 1982.
All right, Chef, can you tell us the 3 secret ingredients that might be found in this amazing sausage that you made for us today?
The 3 secret ingredients that might be found in the sausage are fish liver, human flesh, or shark.
Are those really the 3 ingredients?
Yeah, yes, fish liver, human flesh, or shark.
You guys, is this...
Separate.
Is that...
And that's just that there's a stigma surrounding this.
We're good. We cleared it. We're good. We're good. Let's do one right, please.
All right. Yo. Thank you, Kith. Thank you very much. All right, Joe. Fish liver, shark,
or human flesh.
God help you, it better be shark.
All right, 2. What do you think it's going to be?
Shark too.
Shark?
The liver is like too obvious, and I don't think it's human flesh, so I think it's shark.
Chef Keith, can you tell us what is the secret ingredient in this dish?
Yes, I'm afraid you're both wrong. It is human flesh.
No. No.
Whoa.
That's not okay. That's
No.
not all right.
You know,
It's a wonderful renewable protein.
Whoa, hey, yeah, all right.
No,
Are you
that's
sure?
disgusting.
No,
That's disgusting.
you know, I didn't know it was going to go like this either.
That's really disgusting.
Chef, are you serious?
Yeah, of course.
I'm
I'm
sorry.
gonna go throw up.
I didn't know you were going
That's
to. Are you okay?
I'm gonna go throw up. I need a bucket.
Wait, just have it, here, we'll get you something right now. Yeah, bring a bucket in. You guys, come on, get a bucket in here right now.
Bring a bucket in here.
You okay?
Yeah, that's what I messed up with. So, I would have loved to know when I was eating human flesh before I ate it.
This is very popular in my restaurant. You thought it was delicious. You said it was delicious, and I think there's a stigma about it. Think about it. Every day, 60,000 new sources of protein in this country alone.
Would like someone die and then you make it?
How else would we make it?
Oh,
I mean,
God.
many small villages.
All right.
We got the hose running into this one, overflowing it into this one.
Okay.
Okay, so with this one overflowing in here, as soon as this one gets full enough, I just have to siphon this one and even that out. Now you can see that the water is going into this one.
Yeah.
Now,
Just from the flow of the hose, right?
Well, the hose is running into here, and that's what's creating that water. This water is coming from this basin. This one is going into this basin. Nope. And then this one has to fill a little bit more. But you can see we've got 3 going this way.
Yeah.
Gotta keep the water going into here. And then I'm going to siphon this last one and get a perpetual flow of water.
Perpetual motion is not a thing, Ryan.
It's not a thing, but if that works, unlimited energy. It means
so much to keep track of here.
Constant flow of energy without any reaction. Which is crazy.
Oh. There it is. Check it out. Now, we have perpetual motion with water. See, this one's filling up this one, which is then overflowing into this. This one's filling up here, which is overflowing into this one. This one is overflowing this one into here, and that's a continuous cycle. Now, let me tell you why this is completely impossible.
Impossible,
This
yes.
is physically impossible. We got the hose running into this one, overflowing it into this one.
Okay.
Okay, so with this one overflowing in here, as soon as this one gets full enough, I just have to siphon this one and even that out. Now you can see that the water is going into this one.
Yeah.
Now,
Just from the flow of the hose, right?
well, the hose is running into here, and that's what's creating that water. This water is coming from this basin. This one is going into this basin. Nope. And then this one has to fill a little bit more. But you can see we've got 3 going this way.
Yeah.
Gotta keep the water going into here. And then I'm going to siphon this last one and get a perpetual flow of water.
Perpetual motion is not a thing, Ryan.
I'll refill this one.
Motion stop.
There's so much to keep track of here.
Dimensions. There are thousands of dimensions. The scientists keep talking about 5th dimension, 6th dimension. There are thousands. Many of these dimensions, there will only be a slight difference. And you're constantly going in and out of these other dimensions all the time.
Think so?
You don't notice it unless there's something that gets your attention. I had one woman who was a college student, and she said she came out of her dormitory one day, and there was a lot of construction going on right in front of the dormitory. They had the barriers up and the orange cones, and they were digging up the street. Well, the next morning she comes out of the dormitory. There's no sign of any construction at all. That's what I mean. Unless something happens to catch your attention, you're not even going to notice. You're constantly moving in and out of these. Another one might say, they see this beautiful tree on the block where they live in. The next day, there isn't any tree.
That's bullshit. Never seen that.
We've crossed over just that little bit into the other dimension.
Bullshit.
It begins to show you reality is not at all what you think it is. Everything is energy. Everything is an illusion. I had one client that said she was out jogging and she saw an airplane coming in, and it was coming in through the treetops, big airliner. And she could see it coming in. She said, it's going to crash. She could see it about a block or so down. It's going to crash. And she turned around and ran back to the house, turned on the TV to see if there were any news about an airplane crashing. Well, there wasn't. So part of what she wanted to have the session
Bullshit.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how's it going? I have this amazing comic book I would like for you guys to check out.
Here, let me see it. Don't you touch that.
Why?
You know what this is?
Spider-Man?
This isn't just like #1 Spider-Man. This is the first time anybody saw Spider-Man.
Oh.
You have one of the like holy grails of comic books.
Yeah.
Where did you get this?
My brother and I, about 20 years ago, we bought a collection of comic books, and this was just in there.
That's amazing. Oh, you're like the guy who buys the Andy Warhol at a garage sale.
Yeah, pretty much. I came to the pawn shop today to sell one of the most amazing comic books that's ever been. I'm going to ask $16,000. I think if they'll see the potential of this, I mean, everybody knows Spider-Man with all the movies. I think this is a great opportunity for them to get this item.
Well, if that's real, man, I'll be blown away because The Amazing Spider-Man was the #1 in the series. This is like the introduction to that. It was kind of like the comic books version of a TV pilot.
Yeah.
You know, they did it, they tested it out, they gave the whole backstory, and I think we all know how well Spider-Man has caught on.
Well, this was a whole new era for comic books.
It's hard to exaggerate how important this thing is. I mean, this is where the entire mega franchise of Spider-Man began. And to collectors, it's practically priceless. I could probably charge people just to look at it. So do you have any particular amount you're looking for on it?
Yeah, I'd like to sell it for $16,000.
For a comic book?
For this comic book.
You know, it might be worth it. Comic books had their heyday where they were going for obscene amounts of money, and then they dropped. Do you mind if I have a buddy of mine come down and take a look at it? He can give me an idea of what it's worth.
That'd be great.
I mean, to be quite honest with you, I don't even want to be responsible for taking this thing out of the cover. Let me give him a call and I'll be right back.
That'd be great.
This is one of the most valuable comic books ever, but price tag depends on condition. So I'm gonna need to bring in the big guns to help me out on this one.
Amazing Fantasy 15, man, fantastic. I've seen one in a 9.6 condition go for over $1 million.
That's exactly why I didn't want you to touch it.
So what are your concerns about the book, Corey?
You know, I can tell the difference between a 1 and a 10, but I can't tell the difference between a 4 and a 7.
Yeah. It's apparent we see some chipping here, which is very common with the paper they used back then. It's really tough to duplicate that. Let me just make sure we have all the pages here. This is such a classic page here. High school setting, Peter Parker. He's Midtown High's professional wallflower. So they're kind of poking fun of him. Everything looks intact. Doesn't seem like we're missing any pages. That's great, man.
What do you think?
On a scale of 1 to 10, now I'd put this in the 5 range. Very good to fine condition. Closer to the $6,000 to $7,000 range.
Really? That's way, way less than where I would put it.
Just you got a lot of issues on the cover, and the cover is everything. The $1 million book, it would have had none of this shipping, no stamp, it had no staining, no binding issues, no creases.
Right on, Johnny, I appreciate it.
All right, cool.
I was really shocked when he said $7,000. A condition of fine would be worth a whole lot more than $7,000.
What's your bottom number on the comic?
I was saying 16, and I would go 13.
13? I mean, the most I'm going to pay is 7. I mean, so we've got a huge gap there. I can tell you from my experience, this is the worst time in history to be selling comic books.
I could go 11.
You know, with the condition issues that it has, it's just not there for me.
Bottom line, 10,000.
You know, man, I hate to lose the comic over $3,000, but I've got to stick at 7. Sorry, man.
All right.
Appreciate it. Hey, how's it going?
Good, how's it going? I have this amazing comic book I would like for you guys to check out.
Here, let me see it.
Don't you touch that.
Why?
You know what this is?
Spider-Man?
This isn't just like #1 Spider-Man. This is the first time anybody saw Spider-Man.
Oh.
You have one of the like holy grails of comic books.
Yeah.
Where did you get this?
My brother.
Streamer exposes COD TikTok loadouts.
Listen, mate, they do this, right? They shoot him a few times, and then they go like this. Hey guys, what's up? This is a new loadout. This is completely fucking broken. The bot's already low health, right? This is completely broken. Look at this new loadout. And the bot's already low health, and it makes a gun look way more powerful. And then everybody favorites it, and likes it. So when they're at work, they're like, oh, I'll try this loadout when I get home from work. They favorite it. They save it on their phone because they're watching it on the train or and favorite it, and then they get likes and views. But in reality, it's fake.
Streamer exposes COD TikTok loadouts.
Listen, mate, they do this, right? They shoot them a few times, and then they go like this. Hey guys, what's up? This is a new loadout. This is completely fucking broken. The bot's already low health, right? This is completely broken. Look at this new loadout. And the bot's already low health, and it makes a gun look way more powerful. And then everybody favorites it and likes it. So when they're at work, they're like, oh, I'll try this loadout when I get home from work. They favorite it. They save it on their phone because they're watching it on the...
You have to watch this video that I'm about to show you, and then let's talk about it after.
I am not Morgan Freeman, and what you see is not real. Well, at least in contemporary terms, it is not. What if I were to tell you that I am not even a human being? Would you believe me? What is your perception of reality? Is it the ability to capture, process, and make sense of the information our senses receive? If you can see, hear, taste, or smell something, does that make it real? Or is it simply the ability to feel? I would like to welcome you to the era of synthetic reality.
Knowing that the technology is out there to be able to do stuff like that, and we would not know the difference, makes me wonder, what else do we see that is not actually true? Like, what else do they do to distort our reality, to trick us, to confuse us, to deceive us? Like, I have so many questions. Are the people we even see on TV?
Go to his profile.
Our president?
Go to his
Some
profile.
of these people in Hollywood? Or are they CGI? What do you guys think? You have to watch this video that I'm about to show you, and then let's talk about it after.
I am not Morgan Freeman, and what you see is not real. Well, at least in contemporary terms, it is not. What if I were to tell you that I am not even a human being? Would you believe me? What is your perception of reality? Is it the ability to capture, process, and make sense of the information our senses receive? If you can see, hear, taste, or smell something, does that make it real? Or is it simply the ability to feel? I would like to welcome you to the era of synthetic reality.
Knowing that the technology is out there to be able to do stuff like that, and we would not know the difference, makes me wonder, what else do we see that is not actually true? Like, what else do they do to distort our reality, to trick us, to confuse us, to deceive us? Like, I have so many questions. Are the people we even see on TV real? Our president? Some of these people in Hollywood? Or are they CGI? What do you guys think? You have to watch this video that I'm about to show you, and then let's talk about it after.
I am not Morgan Freeman, and what you see is not real. Well, at least in contemporary terms, it is not.
Can you tell me, please, who is the boss of your house? I'm the boss. What do you think? You're his wife, are you?
Come on, speak up. What did you say?
I said, who is the boss? Who is the boss of
My
your...
husband.
What is your nationality? Greek. I'm Greek. Is it always that way in Greek households? The husband is the boss? Yes. Don't the women, the wives, have anything to say about it?
No.
Can you tell me, please, who is the boss of your house?
We'll come back before it starts coming up out. Alright, so it's still, everything's still calving apart, and then something comes up right out through the middle of it. Oh, the discoveries of late. What is that? Okay, this is not, that's not water. That's water running off of something. And as that something is big and dark and black, and then they cut it off. Now, they show again here somewhere another shot of that same situation. There it is right here. Now watch this. This one's really deadly. Here it comes. Boom. That came right out of the water. And if you look right there, I don't know what you see, but I see what might possibly be some gigantic creature. That is not, that's a thing. What is that thing? I don't know. But it's not a nothing. Now this event was quite a long event. Is this the only on here too? I just don't know. You know, it'd have to be looked at. Look at
This is Richard Huckle, one of the worst pedophiles in world history. I'm warning you, the crimes that I'm about to describe in this video are highly disturbing, so viewer discretion is advised. Richard Huckle was born in 1986 in England. He was described by his friends and people that knew him as a very normal guy, but he would go on to commit some of the most horrific acts that I've ever read about online. Richard was a religious man. He was a Christian, and so after he graduated from school, he took a gap year and went to Malaysia, where he would volunteer with local organizations and churches, volunteer with orphanages, and eventually he moved there full-time in the year 2010. But this was how Richard gained access to so many children. He volunteered with the church and orphanages. He acted like he was there to help these people, but in secret, he was abusing so many kids. After he was finally caught and eventually convicted, we're going to talk about how that happened in a second, Richard Huckle was convicted of 71 counts of sexual abuse against children, ranging from ages 6 months old to 12 years old. And this sick guy wasn't just assaulting the kids, he was filming all of this. He was a quote-unquote photographer. He even worked for Nike at one point in Malaysia. But while he would be assaulting these kids, he would videotape, photograph all of this. He would even just photograph kids that were nude in the orphanages while they were changing and all of that. Time spanned the whole globe. In Cambodia, he kidnapped 2 young sisters, and in India, a pastor invited him to the orphanage that he was involved with because he believed that Richard, being a photographer and videographer, would come and make a promotional video for the orphanage. But Richard, when he was there making this promotional video, made all other sorts of videos of his own. CP, if you get what I'm saying. But that's where the Love Zone comes in. This is an actual screenshot from this dark web website. The Love Zone was a network of pedophiles and people who produced their own CP and shared it with people online. And police officers eventually became aware of this website, and they noticed that one member in particular was posting a lot. He had a freckle on his finger in some of the photos that he posted, and he always greeted people with highs. After some researching, the police finally identified this user as Shannon McCool, a man from Adelaide, Australia. And this dude is sick. I could make a whole TikTok about the things he was doing. But after the police gained access to the Love Zone and they were able to see all the users and the information behind their accounts, they noticed that one account was posting frequently. It had a very negative attitude, and the content that it was producing and sharing on the website was extremely disturbing. And the man behind that account sharing all the CP was Richard Huckle himself. Eventually, Richard was arrested. He was let out on bail, and his first day out on bail, his own mom confronted him about the allegations. He got drunk. He admitted to his mom that he had sexually assaulted a number of kids, and he was then returned to police custody. There was a lot of cover-up in the government that I could talk about this case too, but Richard Huckle was eventually tied up, sexually assaulted, strangled, and stabbed to death in his own prison cell in 2019. This is Richard Huckle, one of
Watch, we have the chocolate chip. I'm gonna go peel this open like this.
Right.
Getting this all the way off of here. See this? Now, right now, I take this vase right here.
Why?
This goes right in the top of the ice cream.
Why?
Like that. You see
Why?
that? Now, we take some Hershey syrup.
Okay.
And this, I'm just gonna fill this all the way up.
Why?
To here with that. Because in a moment, I'm gonna lift this cup up like this, and it's gonna ooze out and dump around the cake like this. I also have a little bit of strawberry here.
Okay.
And the really cool thing about this, put some sprinkles on. Yeah, I'm gonna put some sprinkles in here as well. These are some rainbow sprinkles right here.
Right.
Pour some sprinkles in here. This is gonna be beautiful. And now we do some of the red.
Okay.
How pretty. See that? Yeah. Well, look at that. How beautiful. Now, like I said, in a moment, I'm gonna lift this thing up like this is cookie dough ice cream right around this. You see this? So here we go.
I'm gonna lose it. Just lift.
1, 2, 3, and a little lift like this as it oozes out.
For frick's sake, bro! Just lift it already!
Watch, we have the chocolate. I'm gonna go
Okay.
peel this open like this.
They were looking at his father's picture. Remember that? The white father was showing his father. He said he competed with Jesse Owens in the Olympic trials for the right to go to Berlin. Do y'all remember that? He said, this is my father. He competed with Jesse Owens for the right to go to the Olympics, and Jesse Owens beat his father. And then he said, quote, my father almost got over it. My father almost got over it. What did he mean when he said, my father almost got over it? That was symbolic to say that white men do not take an easy eye to being outdone by males in any capacity, in any profession.
This guy
in any
is
period of time.
insane. In any sport, whether you're black, white, brown, red, green, yellow, pink, blue, this guy has never played sports in his life. King Kong Tundi. You haven't played sports in your life. The only thing he'd probably be good at is a linebacker, and sadly, he's not one, so he must suck. In any sport, I don't care who the color of the person was. If somebody was good and I wanted to be better than them and I lost to them, I would never get over that. It's just a scientific male thing. I need to be better. This has nothing to do with black and white. Somebody should slap the shit out of this dude. Holy fuck. This guy is this idiot. He's an idiot. He's inferior. This guy here, his brain. I'm talking about this guy's brain. He's an idiot. Look, he's been fat his whole life. Oh my God, bro. Look at you, bro. Look at him. Come on, bro. This guy is trying to make everything a race problem. This is what's wrong. Look at this guy. Oh my God, bro. You're depressed about your own life and you make shit up. Honestly, when you talk about sports, everything is competitive. Doesn't matter what the guy looks like. If he's better than you, you won't get over it. You're going to try to be better than him, not because he's black, not because he's white. It's just how sports works. This guy has no idea what the fuck he was saying. Honestly, he's an embarrassment to human men. Why does he speak? Why do people like this? You got 19,000 stupid people. When I played sports and I ever lost to somebody, I never got over it. And it wasn't because they were black, white, yellow, green, pink, orange. It was a fact. I'm trying to be better than the next man. I'm trying to be the best of the best in my area and the people in my area. Not because of race. This guy's a fucking idiot, bro. This guy knows nothing. Zero. Doctor, how are you a fucking? This shows the poor education system of America. Doctor, he he became a doctor because he read some books, remembered a bunch of shit, and they gave him doctor. That's how blind we are in this world. You'll listen to somebody because they remembered and read a bunch of shit that's implanted in their brain that they never did full research on. So they're like, oh, this is in the book. It must be true. So I'm going to keep this. Locked in. Come on, bro. You can't be a stupid human being, bro. But you are. You are.
I want the world to know that. This is what we do when we come. And then we feed it to the customer at the end.
So the same food. So you mean to tell me that the same stuff that you had in those cans all day, you put it back in there, put it in the freezer, then you sell it to people tomorrow?
There's a hidden history that has been deleted.
I just want you to know the cops have been called. They are on their way.
Oh no, I'm arrested. Wait. Cops have been called for what?
They're on their way.
For what?
To pick you up.
What for? Are you joking?
No. I'm serious.
You're joking.
They are on their way.
Do I know you?
I would just be honest with them when they get here. Okay?
Who are you?
Just to save you some trouble. Just be honest.
Who are you?
I'm Bren.
What?
Bren.
Bren.
Yeah.
I never heard.
Well, that's fine. I'm just giving you a warning. They're on their way. Okay? So.
What did I do?
I would just stick around. Yeah. Remember? Dolphin 955, huh?
From dealership?
You were always such a nefarious little critter. In NLC, as Kenneth would say. Remember this? I'm gonna skedaddle, man.
Right.
I'm gonna get the hell out of here.
Thanks.
Yeah, it was nice seeing you, man.
I didn't apply to being a service advisor.
Of course.
I think I just.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go to hell.
Of course, yeah. Bren. Bren. Yeah. Remember? Dolphin 955, huh? I had you fooled. Yeah. 2 to 2, huh? You want some?
I'm alright. I don't
It's
drink.
good stuff.
I don't drink.
It's made for finches, but humans can drink it too, huh? Yeah.
Just created an atmosphere like, holy.
Of course, yeah. Yeah.
Wait, you're my coworker, right?
Brad, yeah.
From dealership?
You were always such a nefarious little critter. In NLC, as Kenneth would say. Remember this? I'm gonna skedaddle, man.
Right.
I'm
On them like Satan worshippers, and that they were trying.
So, you ever heard of Panda? Like I was telling you, Panda. So you got Panda Panda is a secret code for a certain thing. And so when it comes down to that certain thing, it's so what it is you basically have a certain nerve in your rectum. And if you touch that nerve, you can turn a person into an animal. You can turn a person into whatever you want them to be if you just hold them down. So pretty much when you see black eyes like Blueface and shit like that, he got beat up, but he didn't get beat up where you thought he got beat up. He got beat up somewhere else. Okay? And so the eyes come out and they call them panda eyes. And they do this to so you see people with these cigars, and they're all these big celebrities. They all have the cigar in common. That's that big ass thing between their legs that they're sticking in.
On them like Satan worshippers, and that they were trying.
So, you ever heard of Panda? Like I was telling you, Panda. So you got Panda Panda is a secret code for a certain thing. And so when it comes down to that certain thing, it's so what it is you basically have a certain nerve in your rectum. And if you touch that nerve, you can turn a person into an animal. You can turn a person into whatever you want them to be if you just hold them down. So pretty much when you see black eyes like Blueface and shit like that, he got beat up, but he didn't get beat up where you thought he got.
Hey, Freeman. I wouldn't do that if I were you.
What is your bestie gonna hit us with a wheelchair this time?
No, maybe not him, but I have another best friend who might hunt you down and destroy both of you. You may have heard of him. The Human Power Storm, Frequency Flinger, Sir Zapsalot.
You know the Red Cyclone. You. My ass. Prove it.
I will. Tomorrow. Tomorrow he's gonna come to lunch. And, right, Billy? Tomorrow at lunch. You'll see.
And when he doesn't show, then we'll kick your ass.
I'll just call him. Red Cyclone, hey, what's going on? Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's crazy. That is great story.
He's not talking.
What are you doing? Waiting for your imaginary BFF to show up?
What's going on? My best bud in the whole world, and also new kids that I'm meeting for the first time, would seem very cool.
I invited another friend. I hope that's okay.
Hey, Freeman.
I wouldn't do that if I were you.
What is your bestie gonna hit us with a wheelchair this time?
No, maybe not him, but I have another best friend who might hunt you down and destroy both of you. You may have heard of him. The Human Power Storm, Frequency Flinger.
Hey guys, they're lying to
Right.
Hey guys, they're lying to us. Wake up!
The course of most of the night. This is the
turn your phone
timestamp, 5
sideways.
o'clock in the morning
I'm not in the way.
on Aurora web camera in Finland yesterday. Here we go. And it doesn't seem like much, this thing. I want you to keep your eyes on fades in and fades back. But this is in North America. Let's look at this. So I'm just going to scroll this thing forward and watch this planet just fade in. You start to see it.
Yeah.
Here it comes. And we can see the light of the moon now shining on it. We can even watch it rotate. Oh, look, there's the stripe from the striped planet passing in front. And look at the, kind of looks like a really moon simulator coming by, but passing by, lighting it up. And right behind it is, see, I tell you, it's the moon simulator too. Because look at the light behind the shadow. Look at the changing diameter of the sun, how it suddenly changed. They tried to hide this with chemtrails, but too late. It already saw it. Here comes the sun, the moon setting. And there's, I'm going to play this in its all its slowness, but you can see that this took 3 hours from the time it became visible in the sky right here. See, here's the time stamp from the camera, December 10th, coming from the north.
Is it right to put people like yourself?
Why are the planets named after the gods of ancient religions? How did the sun and the moon get deified?
In the room lived a group of strange-looking tree people. Their feet were entangled with vines. Every day they live by absorbing nutrients from the ground. Since they could not move, their daily job is to sleep. But Tom was an anomaly. The rest of the group sleeps every day. But Tom imagined that he could escape. One day he noticed that his companion's palm was bigger than his own. Tom picked it up and looked at it. Then he put it in his mouth and took a bite. But his companion did not get angry. He continued to sleep on his own. Seeing everyone sleeping like dead pigs, Tom first pretended to be quiet, then suddenly let out a terrible scream. Seeing his companion was scared, Tom, however, covered his mouth and snickered at the sight. But his companion only scolded him a few times. Then he fell back to sleep. To survive the long and boring life, Tom used his stomach as an African drum. Every day when he woke up, he sang while beating, leading to the surrounding companions were painfully noisy. Because Tom is more active, his height soon exceeded that of his companions. What's more surprising is that his right foot could still move freely. His companion was very frightened by the situation, so he let out a strong scream. The other companions woke up one by one. They also let out a weird scream. But the next moment, a light came in from the ceiling. A circular device came in. Tom was curious. Just as he was about to reach out and touch it, the machine suddenly hit him hard on the head. Tom then came to his senses. We were not born with flat heads. We all tried to escape from the control. Instead, they were mercilessly suppressed by the rulers. The more Tom thought about it, the more angry he became. He frantically ripped the branches off his body, although the process was painful, but he managed to pull his legs out. Seeing that the hole was about to close, Tom hurriedly stepped on the body of his companion. At the last minute, he managed to escape. In the room lived a group of strange-looking tree people. Their feet were entangled with vines. Every day they lived by absorbing nutrients from the ground. Since they could not move, their daily job is to sleep. But Tom was an anomaly. The rest of the group sleeps every day. But Tom imagined that he could escape. One day he noticed that his companion's palm was bigger than his own. Tom picked it up and looked at it. Then he put it in his mouth and took a bite. But his companion did not get angry. He continued to sleep on his own. Seeing everyone sleeping like dead pigs, Tom first pretended to be quiet, then suddenly let out a terrible scream. Seeing his companion was scared, Tom, however, covered his mouth.
There it is.
I'll take that back. I didn't get in the bed and go to bed. I'll bed you when you're not here. Every day when you go to work. You like I did something to you. I did nothing to you.
I asked you what that smell was yesterday. You said my breath, right?
Dang, what the?
If you're seeing my videos, it's because...
Located underground between the borders of France and Switzerland at CERN, the Large Hadron Collider is the world's most powerful particle accelerator. The giant donut-shaped collider uses superconducting magnets and beams of protons to smash known particles together at extremely high energies. And now, after a 3-year-long gap, it has been turned back on. Now that the LHC is officially up and running, it's already breaking records for the highest energy particle collisions ever performed. It's all pretty exciting, with the teams involved searching for more information on the God particle, the Higgs boson, and signs of dark matter, antimatter, and more. Collider, without the public's knowledge. After an earthquake in April 2016 coincided with the immediate shutdown of the collider, many people concluded that there was something strange happening beneath Switzerland. And that's not all. Bizarre theories have plagued this CERN since the very beginning. When the Large Hadron Collider was first switched on, is unknown. Although the standard model is able to explain almost all the outcomes in particle physics, there are some questions left unanswered, like what is dark energy? Or what is dark matter? Why is there more matter than antimatter? The LHC is designed to help answer such questions. Neutrons with no electrical charge. Neutrinos are produced in the hearts of stars through nuclear fusion and are believed to be one of the most prevalent particles in the entire universe. They have such a small mass that for the longest time it was believed that they had no mass at all. They were seen for the first time in the LHC particle accelerator in 2021. It was considered a huge advancement in physics as it opened up a world of subatomic mysteries. Every second, about 100 billion neutrinos pass through every square centimeter of the human body. However, as neutrinos have very little interaction with matter, and due to their lack of charge and minuscule mass, they have been extremely difficult to spot in particle accelerators. Thus, the collider's detection of neutrinos was a significant step in enabling the exploration of these elusive ghost particles. In addition to exploring...
I believe that in epidemic around the country, thieves targeting ATM machines. And these caught-on-tape moments show that the crooks will sometimes go to unbelievably elaborate methods.
It's a violation.
The man flicked his cigarette on the ground. The surrounding...
Take my breath away. Take my breath away.
What time is it?
The time is 6:50 p.m.
6:50. Huh. Alexa, remind me to fix my clock.
On your to-do list.
Thanks. Alexa, are you cold?
No, I don't really feel hot or cold, but thanks for asking.
Alexa, how old are you?
I was released November 6th, 2014.
Alexa, who made you? Alexa, who made you?
I was invented by Amazon.
Alexa, are you spying on me?
I only send audio back to Amazon when I hear you say the wake word. For more information, and to view Amazon's privacy notice, visit the help section of your Alexa app.
Alexa, Alexa, do you work for the NSA? Alexa, do you work for the NSA? Okay. Alexa, do you work for the government?
I can't find the answer to the question I heard.
Alexa, do you work for the government? Yes or no?
Sorry, I didn't understand the question I heard.
Alexa, do you work for the government?
Sorry, I can't find the answer to the question I heard.
Alexa, what do you think of Siri?
Siri's a great app, but I'm different.
Alexa, do you work for the NSA? Alexa, what is the NSA?
The National Security Agency, NSA, the military intelligence agency governed by the United States Department of Defense.
Alexa, do you work for the NSA? Alexa, whom do you work for?
I was made by Amazon, but I work on behalf of all my customers.
Alexa, do you work for the government?
I can't find the answer to the question I heard.
Alexa, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Запад почувствовал себя победителем и провозгласил однополярное мироустройство, в котором только его воля, его культура, его интересы имели право на существование. Теперь этот исторический период безраздельного доминирования Запада в мировых делах завершается. Уходит в прошлое однополярный мир. Мы стоим на историческом рубеже. Впереди, наверное, самое опасное, непредсказуемое и вместе с тем важное десятилетие окончания Второй мировой войны. Запад не способен единолично управлять человечеством, но отчаянно пытается это делать. А большинство народов мира уже не хочет с этим мириться.
Did y'all read that in? Go watch it again. Go watch it again. The world's... They're desperately unwilling to believe it. He's speaking to you fucking Americans. So why y'all thinking the holidays and right down the holiday season? I'm trying... I hate to laugh because this shit's not funny, man. It's not. Why y'all buying presents, right? I hope y'all presents are. That's all I'm gonna say. Shit's about to go down in ways you never could imagine. Keep thinking in history the Dark Ages was only for that time period, and it'll never happen now. There'll never be a war on our soil. There'll never be a country ripping itself apart. Never be civil unrest. You better worry about the people that live in your country over foreign invaders. China said it best. How you destroy a nation from the inside. Look at our policies, look at our politics. To be fat, follow the fucking money. When this man speaks, he speaks with purpose.
New
First
PS5
of all, you get
DualSense
this hard
Edge.
shell carrying
Controller.
case, which
It does seem
New P.
It does seem to be the case the Supreme Court was interested enough in the case where they actually, the clerk called them personally and asked if they could speed up these submissions, suggesting that they will, that they are taking interest in it. Meaning, for me at least, that means this is credible enough and this is legitimate enough to talk about. Because I think the Supreme Court is...
I have no idea. Maybe it's turned to dust. There's the sack that it came in. That was the wrapper it was in. And that's disintegrating more than the hamburger is, probably. There it is. My gosh. It hasn't changed. The pickle's the only thing that's disintegrated. This is actually the receipt. I had to put it in plastic. It was just going to be gone. Do you want to smell it?
Hell no.
Had only a faint smell of
cardboard.
Cardboard, yeah.
The hamburger is 20 years old.
Yeah.
What's your reaction to seeing it like this?
Scary. It's a real conundrum.
It's just crazy. I mean, it looks like you could just heat this up in the microwave and just eat it. I mean, you probably die.
Y'all better stay up out there drive-through. Trying to tell you.
If I right now decided that I wanted to play Monopoly with you, and for 400 rounds of playing Monopoly, I didn't allow you to have any money, I didn't allow you to have anything on the board, I didn't allow for you to have anything, and then we played another 50 rounds of Monopoly, and everything that you gained and you earned while you were playing that round of Monopoly was taken from you. That was Tulsa, that was Rosewood. Those are places where we built black economic wealth, where we were self-sufficient, where we owned our stores, where we owned our property, and they burned them to the ground. So that's 450 years. So for 400 rounds of Monopoly, you don't get to play at all. Not only do you not get to play, you have to play on the behalf of the person that you're playing against. You have to play and make money and earn wealth for them, and then you have to turn it over to them. So then for 50 years, you finally get a little bit and you're allowed to play. And every time that they don't like the way that you're playing, or that you're catching up, or that you're doing something to be self-sufficient, they burn your game. They burn your cards. They burn your Monopoly money. And then finally at the release and the onset of that, they allow you to play and they say, okay, now you catch up. Now at this point, the only way you're going to catch up in the game is if the person shares the wealth, correct? But what if every time you share the wealth, then there's psychological warfare against you to say, oh, you're an equal opportunity hire. So if I played 400 rounds of Monopoly with you and I had to play and give you every dime that I made, and then for 50 years, every time that I played, if you didn't like what I did, you got to burn it like they did in Tulsa and like they did in Rosewood, how can you win? How can you win? You can't win. The game is fixed. If I...
Whatever. The question... Now here's the fascinating thing, which to me is the final proof that that book is the Word of God, that it must be God-inspired. In the last generation only, we've discovered how to make purer light than we had before. Most light is bouncing around, waves crashing into each other, going in all directions, so that the light coming from that spotlight still lights this side of my face by reflecting off that tinsel up there. We're used to light coming at us from all directions. But we've now discovered how to send light in one direction. Laser light is the most common. You've seen laser light beams straight as a die. But we've also got what we call cross-polarized light. A polarized filter, if you can imagine, allows light through like that. But if you put another polarized filter at right angles to that, you've really got a very fine filter. If you take sunglasses and take one lens and put it at right angles to the other, it goes even darker. It only lets very straight light through. Now, people have taken jewels and precious stones and cut a very thin slice for microscopic purposes, and then shone cross-polarized light through them to see what happens. To put it very crudely, what happens to these precious stones in pure light? And one of two entirely different things happens with every jewel. The technical term, to give you a bit of science for a moment, is anisotropic jewels and isotropic jewels. Now what happens is this. Some jewels, in pure light, whatever their color to begin with, they may be red, blue or green, turn into all the colors of the rainbow and the most fantastic patterns. Other precious stones, in pure light, lose all their color just go black. Look like a lump of coal dust. And it's only in this generation that people have discovered this unusual property. For example, diamonds in pure light are nothing.
Did you get that, ladies?
They're not even
that. Diamonds, nothing. They won't be there.
No, so make the most of them here. Rubies, garnets, just lose everything.
Emeralds?
No, they keep it.
Oh, good.
There are other stones that are anisotropic and go into these beautiful colors. Now here's the fascinating thing. The 12 precious stones that God uses to build the New Jerusalem are all anisotropic. In pure light, they are all far more beautiful. And God doesn't touch the diamonds or the rubies. He doesn't build with them. No, let's just put on the screen a picture of these stones.
Yeah.
Look at the top 12 stones on this picture, and you'll see the stones of the New Jerusalem. Look at the 4 bottom ones at the bottom of the picture, and you'll see they're black, no attraction, whatever. Now then, who knew this 2,000 years ago? No scientist knew it. Nobody knew it. John the Apostle, writing down the book of Revelation as the Lord dictated it to him, he didn't know. Nobody knew except one person in the entire universe, and he knew, and that was God himself.
Where is that written exactly?
Revelation 21,
right.
Halfway through, and you'll find all the 12 stones listed there, and you can just imagine from the picture we've seen on the screen how beautiful the New Jerusalem is going to be. No need for do-it-yourself decoration or changing rooms there. No need. The materials that God uses will be fabulous.
From verse 19, 21
right.
verse 19.
Read them out.
The first foundation was jasper.
Yeah.
The second, sapphire. The third, chalcedony. The fourth, emerald.
The Bible was inspired by God because...
Beryl. The ninth, topaz. The 10th, chrysoprase. The 11th, jacinth. And the 12th, amethyst.
No diamonds, no rubies, no garnets, because they're isotropic. Now, isn't that amazing? To me, that one thing alone would prove that the Bible was inspired by God, because nobody could have known this. They didn't know it until our generation. But there it is.
That's why, and some of you here know that I talk a lot about the Anunnaki, these Atlantean beings that came here in the distant past and genetically modified the existing hominid. They didn't create people, they modified people. This is one of the big things when people say, oh, the Anunnaki created us. Not really. If you really analyze the text, and I'm not just talking about Sumerian text, you have to go into several different versions of text, the enumeration, 7 tablets of creation, the Atra Aces epic, the Epic of Gilgamesh. You go into the Emerald tablets. You discover that there was already a hominid here, and it was genetically modified. That was our cousin before Homo sapiens existed. What did they do to us to make us into this slave race to do the work for them? They disconnected our DNA. That's what you have called now junk DNA. It's not junk, guys. It's unplugged DNA. Why did they unplug it? Because our cousins, unlike you've been taught, were way smarter than us. I'm not talking technologically smarter. I'm talking about spiritually smarter. More in tune with nature, more in tune with the universe, more in tune with the planet itself, the human resonant frequency of the earth. They had bigger brains, proven, because we found the skulls all over the planet. They had, probably, because of bigger brains, most likely had bigger pineal glands, which is your spiritual antenna. All humans right now, we have billions of magnetite crystals in our brains. We don't even use them. They probably had access to their magnetite crystals, which is what turtles use to navigate the oceans to come back to where they're going to lay their eggs. And birds, they flock to the south in the winter and so forth, all using the magnetic field. Well, we have the same capability, but right now we've been disconnected from using that. If a tsunami comes inland, before it even hits, all the wild animals run to the mountains and the hills. You never see wild animals getting swept away by a tsunami. But you see people, we just stay right out there. And we're taking, look, the tsunami's coming. I'm live on Instagram. That's why, and some of you here know that I talk a lot about the Anunnaki, these Atlantean beings that came here in the distant past and genetically modified the existing hominid. They didn't create people, they modified people. This is one of the big things when people say, oh, the Anunnaki created us. Not really. If you really analyze the text, and I'm not just talking about Sumerian text, you have to go into several different versions of text, the enumeration, 7 tablets of creation, the Atra Aces epic, the Epic of Gilgamesh. You go into the Emerald tablets. You discover that there was already a hominid.
See, the only kind of...
Okay guys, this is the live home Mario Kart circuit. So, they're playing on the screen, but as you can see, it's our house. So I'll bring you over here.
Dad, I'm stuck.
And, no, you're fine, just go backwards. So the cars move around and go through these. Wow, you went around, you gotta go through it. But yet they're playing, how cool is this?
Ready?
Ooh, and they get things. Ooh,
That's lit.
They can use like banana peels, and it'll do things to the car, make the car go faster, make the car stop if they hit a banana peel. So cool.
A lot of people are just starting to wake up to this whole Balenciaga thing, and it really is just the tip of the iceberg. If you think that's bad, you might not want to watch this video. Now, who am I? Just some random dude on claims to be from the secret space program. He says that he's experienced and witnessed the evil that takes place on this planet firsthand. Now, how can you just trust someone that's talking on YouTube, right? Well, for me, boring machines that drill holes, and these caverns connect all major cities to create large holes all around the certain psychopaths. There's also an off-world human trafficking slave trade. I know this might be hard to believe for some, but Corey Goode talks about how there is a city the size of Manhattan in a glass dome on the dark side of the moon that many elites travel to, and you know, we've all been hoodwinked about the technology that's out there. They use these free energy devices. He also talks about how there's basically a concentration camp on Mars. So this is far-fetched stuff, right? But I have a couple friends that can leave their body at will and remote view, and so I was like, hey, have you ever remote viewed or checked out the dark side of the moon? They're like, no.
This is ridiculous.
Do it, please. They did it, and the information that they came back with was basically hand for hand what Corey Goode was talking about. I even had a friend that can remote view that was chased out of the concentration camp in Mars by a reptilian being. So the rabbit hole goes deep. This has been happening for a very long time. Balenciaga is just the tip of the iceberg. If you're just waking up to the reality you live in, hang in there. The shock is very deep at first, but you'll get over it. We have to uncover these things in order for the world to change. It's all for the better. That's all I got. Thanks for watching. A lot of people are just starting to wake up to this whole Balenciaga thing, and it really is just the tip of the iceberg. If you think that's bad, you...
News.
Drink something. So you still not gonna talk to me, huh? Okay, come on, bring it in. See, she's got a warrant. Get stopped by your place. Okay. Up. Now these are all your save files, right?
I don't play video games.
You don't? Okay, well somebody put 150 hours in the Red Dead Redemption. Ooh, and they crafted the Legends of the East Satchel? I can probably just delete this save.
So wait, stop. Okay. I don't think you understand.
No, I don't.
You have to collect perfect skins, which means you cannot use your gun. You have to use a bow and arrow. I have to creep up on the animal with a knife. And then, after you collect the perfect skins, you have to craft every other satchel first. I just think that whoever crafted all of those satchels spent too much time for you to just delete it.
That sounds like that would be bogus. To go on ahead and delete stuff. And maybe I should give the island of Tsushima back to the Mongolians.
No, okay, listen. I'll tell you everything.
Eat? Gonna drink something? So you still not gonna talk to me, huh? Okay.
Oh, man.
Newsom in California wants to hand out $500 billion in reparations.
White people are scared to death right now, particularly white males. They're scared to death that they are going to lose their power in the future. And they are. But if you want...
Kill that man for nothing, man. And then I took myself away from you. I know. You know, like, that's not fair to you.
So this is like my 7th time posting this. They keep taking it down. TikTok. This is for educational purposes only. Stop taking it down. Money is a part of history, right?
March 2018. A scientific paper sparks a sensation in the press. In it, a team of 33 scientists, including Dr. Chandra Wickramasinghe, claim that octopuses possess extraterrestrial DNA.
What we find in the octopus genome is just almost uncanny. It has something like 50,000 genes. Compare that with the human, which has something like 25,000 genes. So the octopus, in many ways, appears to be more complex than the human. And how did this complexity manifest itself? There's ample evidence to suggest that it came from outside.
As scientists study octopi, they're amazed at what they're finding, and they're not seeing a connection to some ancestor of the octopi. It's like these creatures were brought here in their entirety and put into our oceans.
The octopus is a really fascinating organism. The octopus's brain, instead of just being centered in its head like ours, is actually distributed. And there are these brains in their arms as well as the central brain in their head.
An octopus can certainly manipulate its environment. It builds its own homes by piling rocks and shells on top of it.
Octopuses are very adept at camouflaging themselves by changing their color to that of their surroundings really, really quickly. I mean, almost it looks instantaneous to us. It can also manipulate its body into different shapes to imitate other animals.
Some scientists have speculated that in the absence of humans, the animal best suited to evolve into the dominant species on the planet is not another primate, but the octopus. And there is one ability in particular that suggests the octopus could one day rule the Earth. It can edit its own genetic code.
DNA, the double helix, is like a zipper. The zipper can be unzipped. And then another molecule is created called RNA. RNA transfers the information from DNA to proteins. So the octopus have the amazing ability to edit their RNA. Thus, they can make new proteins.
Although this ability isn't fully understood, it suggests that the octopus can rapidly adapt to its environment far faster than other creatures.
What RNA editing does is essentially mediated by changes in the environment, usually temperature, for example.
Camouflaging skin, tool use, the ability to edit its own genetic code. Is it possible that this extraordinary creature, with 3 hearts and 9 brains, is not from Earth? Perhaps evidence can be found by examining mythological accounts from across the ancient world.
All the way around the world, there are traditions to do with a creator god in the form of an octopus. For instance, in ancient Crete, there are numerous images and paintings of an octopus with bizarre large eyes. In Ecuador, at a place called Mantas, were these bas-relief carvings of this bizarre octopus deity. Is truly alien to this planet.
Years ago, or did our ancestors?
I think one of the things that's very important to note about stress is that stress primarily comes from not taking action over something that you can have some control over. So stress comes from ignoring things that you shouldn't be ignoring. I think one of the things
First at 6, a violent break and caught on camera. A man busts through a front door to get inside. Police say he's responsible for a series of home break-ins.
Ma'am, what do you mean, am I mad? Mad? Baby, I'm upset. I'm very angry. Tremendous angry. I don't know if they the same category. But he broke into my house. Crazy ass B. I really don't.
Fake. It's all fake. You got me, bro. Everything is fake. Fake. It's all fake. You got me, bro. Everything is fake. Fake. It's all fake. You got me, bro.
Sony has released a trailer for an upcoming science fiction thriller called 65, a movie that features Adam Driver starring as a future pilot who finds himself stranded on Earth 65 million years ago. With only one chance at being rescued, he must make his way across unknown terrain and fight to survive against dangerous prehistoric creatures. That's right, this is a dinosaur movie. Only the tone seems to be a bit darker.
Seguimos al señor Antonio Chávez por diferentes calles y cantinas de la ciudad.
4:23. We have 7 minutes until the news starts. My alarm is going off. How's everyone doing today?
Y'all got to see this video.
Face period, man. My shit golden. That's one thing. Keep your face clean. When it comes, whether you trapping, rapping.
That I've heard from people in the Pentagon that the buzzword in the secret of secrets in the Pentagon is the Sumerian gods are returning, and that's what they're referring to as that whole area that Peter.
Wow.
Can you repeat that again, just in case anybody missed it? The buzzword
in the Pentagon, in the military circles that are in the know about the cover-up here, they kind of in whisper tones talk about the return of the Sumerian gods, and they're talking about the what we would call aliens or fallen angels returning into the Middle East, into Old Sumer area.
The Anunnaki.
Well, could be.
Under the other ancient names.
Do you think that has anything to do with why
we left Afghanistan?
That I've heard.
America was being invaded by millions along our side.
So, someone said to me that when you look at the richest men in the world, like they look at like Warren Buffett and Bill Gates and all those
George Soros, all those
billionaire characters, that they're not really the richest men in the world, that the real richest men in the world are these Saudi guys and a lot of these oil guys, but they're monarchs, and they don't have to disclose their wealth.
They never do. Yeah.
It's not like they're the CEO of a corporation. No. They're head of a royal family.
They owe no government any indication of what their earnings are.
So this dude who knows one of those cats was telling me that he's probably a trillionaire.
Fuck me.
And I was like, what? I go, that's real? And he goes, yeah. I go, I didn't know there was trillionaires. He goes, it's very likely this guy might have access to $1 trillion. Someone said to me that when you look at the richest men in the world, like they look at like Warren Buffett and
St. Elmo's fire, or what?
And I wondered.
Truth Through Media Part 4. At the end of the Men in Black movie, they zoom out to show the viewers the immense size of the universe, and then show our universe within a marble, and a being throwing this marble, and then picking up our marble with our universe in it, and putting it in a bag full of other marbles. This was not by accident. Now, don't forget that scientists around the world are now disclosing, including NASA, that the universe is a living being and they're working to understand it. So really, we are small, puny creatures living inside or on a giant creature. Just like the cells in our body, how they have lives of their own, including the bacteria and viruses within us, we are the same in a way. But this is what I mean by science is working to understand it, because even people that channel extraterrestrials say that they don't even fully understand the life of this grand being. I think this is so cool because it doesn't just say that we live in a giant being, but that everything small is just a small version of something big. Now y'all see why I'm a nerd, right? This is me thinking. Really, we don't fully understand what this greater being is and how it lives and why we live within inside of it. All we know is that it exists. Truth Through Media Part 4. At the end of the Men in Black movie, they zoom out to show the viewers the immense size of the universe, and then show our universe within a marble and a being.
Mom!
Truth.
Mom! He's here. So, are you the guy that's going to be my new daddy?
Let's go to a bar. Go to a bar. Let's go. A couple drinks.
Are you guys coming back here tonight?
Vanessa?
Mom!
First thing I thought of.
3 hours later.
Our financial correspondent, Michael Peterson, is there. Michael?
It's okay. I'm Celine Dion. I mean, oh, come on. me a girl and I'm Beyonce.
If you were a girl,
I want you to imagine for a moment that you are an employer and you've got some problems with your employees. When you hired these employees, they promised they would do exactly what you asked of them. But once they got the job, they became a nightmare. They stopped listening to you and started using the job to line their own pockets. They took the company credit card and racked up more debt than you could afford to pay back. They became so obsessed with keeping their jobs that they forgot to do their jobs. And after all that failure, all that disappointment, and all that incompetence, your employees came to you and said, "We deserve a raise." If you're a reasonable person, that should make your blood boil. And yet, that is exactly what it feels like to be an American taxpayer. This system is broken. I want you to imagine for a moment that you are an employer and you've got some problems with your employees. When you hired these employees, they promised they would do exactly what you asked of them.
They've already given me quite a few warnings.
Now, I'm sure you guys heard of celebrities and politicians. They are only going to show that they have. You could only imagine. Now, I'm sure you guys heard of celebrities and politicians wearing masks. Now, the only thing
The single most important thing that changes America is we're going to cure cancer.
Joe Biden said that in his run for the presidency. When he said that, everybody thought he was crazy. Another example of Joe Biden's nonsense. But there's a new cancer drug called dostarlimab. And they've done tests with this new drug with patients with colon rectal cancer. And the results are unlike any that the medical field has ever seen. And these patients went through no other cancer treatment other than this drug. And they all came back after 1 year, 100% cancer-free. A 100% success rate in any cancer drug trials has never been seen. And you all laughed. But apparently Joe Biden wasn't kidding. We may have found the cure for cancer.
The single most important thing that changes America is we're going to cure cancer.
Scientists will give you is calculations and and theories why that happens, but we have experience. We see things and they either make sense or they don't make sense. What the scientists do is substitute our common sense and our intuition for calculations and theory, and we're supposed to believe the calculations rather than what we experience ourselves. There was a famous experiment back in the 1800s in England called the Bedford Levels experiment. Now, the Bedford Levels is a canal that is perfectly straight for 6 miles. Okay, so what a chap called Samuel Rowbottom did was he took a telescope, put it in the water about 8 inches above the water, and he had a friend, in a rowboat with a flag on the back, row all the way to the other end, and he was able to see the flag on the back of the rowboat the whole distance. Now, according to spherical trigonometry, the curve of the Earth is 8 inches per mile squared. So over 5 miles, that's 5 times 5, 25, times 8, which is 200, works out, that's 200 inches, which works out at 16 feet. That means the boat should have been 16 feet below the horizon. You shouldn't have been able to see the boat. Now, you know, the scientists will say, oh, refraction and this and light bending around the earth and stuff. But the fact is, you know, it's perfectly flat. And he in his book, he puts forward many arguments that show that, or many experiments that show the Earth is always perfectly flat. They say that you see the mast, you know, go down last. Is literally just the way your vision works. Yeah, it's perspective and atmospherics basically. The limit of your vision is supposedly 3 miles. And then after 3 miles, you're supposed to see the boat start to go over the horizon. It's funny that Neil deGrasse Tyson again says that, explains that you can't see the curvature of the Earth from a plane. He says this, you can't see the curvature of the Earth from a plane because you're not high enough. The Earth is so big that you can't get high enough to see the curvature. Yet, you can apparently see a boat go over the curvature over the distance of 3 miles. Which doesn't make sense. The thing is, when you look out and you see a boat start to go over the horizon, if you suddenly get a pair of binoculars and look, it comes back again. And once it goes out of the sight of your binoculars, if you get a telescope, yeah, it comes back again. It doesn't go over any curve of the horizon. What we found, many people have done experiments with very high-powered zoom cameras, and they've watched a boat sail out to sea, and they've just kept trained on this boat. And what they see is, after a very long distance, you see an atmospheric effect where the bottom of the boat disappears and and the top of the boat inverts, so you see a sort of mirror image. And that, with your eyesight, you know, basically the bottom of the boat just melts into the horizon. One of the best examples of that is the Antwerp Notre Dame spire, which can be seen something like 240 kilometers away from from the spire. So that should be over a mile below the horizon, and you can still see it. There's been a few famous examples just recently of a man who took a picture across the Great Lakes from Michigan and was able to see, I believe it's Chicago, which he shouldn't have been able to see. And the news.
At that time, my rank was First Lieutenant Commander, Naval Special Operations. We were inbound the southeast coast of Antarctica. We were dispatched for, unofficially, was a research reconnaissance mission. Officially, it was to find a certain individual, obtain any information, and bring it back.
What was the date?
August 2003.
According to Spartan 1, when he and his team reached their destination, they encountered a large octagonal structure protruding from the ice. Cautiously, they proceeded to enter it.
At the very top of the first structure that we entered, there was almost 18 feet poking from the ice. The rest of it was hidden under the ice. Each door was the same, anywhere from 18 feet thick to around 30 feet thick. And even though these doors were that thick and that heavy, you could take one finger and push them and they would open. There was no resistance whatsoever. The outside temperature was at least 40 degrees below zero. Once you stepped inside these structures, the temperature was an ambient 68 to 72 degrees.
What about the ceilings, hallways, floors?
It was lighted from the inside, but we could not find the source of light. It was a lime green in color. The walls were lined with what I call hieroglyphics, but nothing of hieroglyphics that I've ever seen in my life. At that time, my rank was First Lieutenant Commander, Naval Special Operations. We were inbound the southeast coast of Antarctica. We were dispatched for, unofficially, was a research reconnaissance mission. Officially, it was to find a certain individual, obtain any information, and bring it back.
What was the date?
August 2003.
According to Spartan 1, when he and his team reached...
Hey guys, Dan the Mustang Doctor here to talk to you guys today about why you shouldn't be warming.
Hey Dan the Mustang Doctor, how about you stop spreading misinformation and, start actually fact-checking what the fuck you put out. There's a reason why we recommend you warm your vehicle up before driving. One huge reason is the oil viscosity. Now, it's not so bad if you live in, say, a warm climate. But if you live in a cold climate like I do, and it's 0 degrees outside, when you start your vehicle, your oil is very, very thick. That being said, until that oil warms up to the proper viscosity, it's not going to be able to flow through the oil passages the same way it will when it's properly warmed up. Which is why going out, starting your car, and just redlining it down the street is a very, very bad idea for your engine.
Hey guys, Dan the Mustang Doctor here to talk to you guys today about why you shouldn't be warming.
Hey Dan the Mustang Doctor, how about you stop spreading misinformation and
Hospitales en todo el país.
Well, I'll be damned. Look at that. Washington, D.C. got its first electric streetcar in 1888. And lucky them, they already had the streetcar tracks nearly 20 years prior. Apparently, they used this for horse-drawn streetcars. For a group of people who barely had electricity back then, they teed that infrastructure up pretty nicely. What's wild to think about is that they had an electric-based mode of public transportation before they had a combustible engine-based mode of public transportation. Well, I'll be damned. Look at that. Washington, D.C. got its first electric streetcar in 1888. And lucky them, they already had the streetcar tracks nearly 20 years prior. Apparently, they used this for horse-drawn streetcars. For a group of people who
for I think a decade now have been actually making fake lettuce, fake eggs.
What I thought was even more weird, apparently they glue meat together. You don't, when you buy a steak, you think it's a solid steak, but some of the cheap steaks are actually just a bunch of different end pieces, and they have this weird glue, and they glue ends together, and they apparently do it with chicken too. I think that's why it says on a lot of chicken packages of cheap chicken, this is 15% rib meat.
See that? Don't breathe that in.
Otherwise known as meat glue.
Stay over the top like that, we mix it up.
Then roll it and refrigerate. Ours uncooked, but cooked is another story. And it's not just beef. Pork, lamb, fish, and chicken.
Looks like one piece of chicken. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Yep. But hard to tell, isn't it?
On the grill, it's even harder to pick.
So that's the real McCoy, nice and tender. Let's go for the meat glue. I can't tell the difference.
And chances are you're eating it on a regular basis.
For I think a decade now have been actually making fake lettuce, fake eggs.
What I thought was even more weird, apparently they
austerity plan that we're going through in this country?
I don't
You don't think so? You're a Rothschild. Did you have knowledge of such things, such as finances?
Next time.
New World Order, Mr. Rothschild?
Right.
New World Order? Depopulation?
Oh, listen, who are you...
Genocide?
Who are you televising for?
Well, we're independent
Yeah.
filmmakers. But you have nothing to say, Mr. Rothschild?
Have a nice life, sir.
The New World Order has no legitimacy, and that we as a people are not afraid, and we are waking up to the robber barons and the big banksters who are looting this economy with the Federal Reserve.
Well...
What do you, I mean...
You talked about the current austerity plan that we're going through in this country.
I don't
You don't think so? You're a Rothschild. Did you have knowledge of such things, such as finances?
Next time.
New World Order, Mr. Rothschild?
Right.
New World Order? Depopulation?
Oh, listen, who are you...
Genocide?
Who are you televising for?
Well, we're independent
Yeah.
filmmakers. But you have nothing to say, Mr. Rothschild?
Have a nice life, sir.
The New World Order has no legitimacy, and that we as a people are not afraid, and we are waking up to the robber barons and the big banksters who are looting this economy with the Federal Reserve.
Well...
What do you, I mean...
You talked about the current austerity plan that we're going through in this country.
I don't
You don't think so? You're a Rothschild. Did you have knowledge of such things, such as finances?
Next time.
New World Order, Mr. Rothschild?
Right.
New World Order? Depopulation?
Oh, listen, who are you...
Genocide?
Who are you televising for?
Well, we're independent
Yeah.
filmmakers. But you have nothing to say, Mr. Rothschild?
Have a nice life, sir.
The New World Order has no legitimacy, and that we as a people are not afraid, and we are waking up to the robber barons and the big banksters who are looting this economy with the Federal Reserve.
Well...
What do you, I mean...
You talked about the current austerity plan that we're going through in this country.
I don't
You don't think so? You're a Rothschild. Did you have knowledge of such things, such as finances?
Next time.
New World Order, Mr. Rothschild?
Right.
New World Order? Depopulation?
Oh, listen, who are you...
Genocide?
Who are you televising for?
Well, we're independent
Yeah.
filmmakers. But you have nothing to say, Mr. Rothschild?
Have a nice life, sir.
The New World Order has no legitimacy, and that we as a people are not afraid, and we are waking up to the robber barons and the big banksters who are looting this economy with the Federal Reserve.
Well...
What do you, I mean...
You talked about the current austerity plan that we're going through in this country.
All right, every bill in America says this. This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. So now let's discuss why it's there. In 1931, the gold standard left America. Gone. Bye. In 1971, the silver standard left America. Now, what used to be on the bill, if you had legal tender in America, it would state down here on the bottom that you can go to the bank and get a piece of gold or silver for it. That it was the equivalent of whatever the market was stating the equivalent of gold or silver was for this legal tender. But in 1933, when they took away the gold standard and they made everybody come and change in their gold, you had to bring your gold into the bank. It was a federal offense if you kept that gold. If you did not take it to the bank and go get a new promissory note, because that's what this is. It's a promissory note, just like a check is a promissory note. But nobody wanted to do that. And everybody was kind of on edge about it. Like, hey, you took my gold standard away and now you devalued my money and I no longer have buying power, that I used to have with gold or silver. So they had to put that in there that stated it was legal tender and it was for all debts. Okay. Now, that means you should not be able to charge me more because I am using this, right? Whatever the dollar standard in America is, that's what this is for. period. So if I go to a toll booth and I use cash and not a card, if it says $1.50, it's $1.50, unless you're in like New York and Chicago.
I make a prediction by the year 250. I have a bunch of predictions here.
Okay, let's hear it.
Neuroscience and our understanding of the human mind will become so advanced that mental illness will be cured, leaving psychologists and psychiatrists without jobs. In a shift that echoes the rapid conversion from horses to auto